Right now, you are operating a complex biological machine made of 30 to 40 trillion individual living units. Every breath you take and every movement you make is the result of these microscopic factories firing in perfect sync. But the massive scale of that network hides a singular origin story. Every person alive today began their existence as exactly one single cell. Inside that single microscopic speck are the biological instructions required to build a thinking brain, a beating heart, and the rigid scaffolding of a skeleton. To understand how that one unit constructs an entire human being, we have to look directly at its internal machinery. A cell acts as a factory, protected by a membrane controlling resources. Inside is the nucleus, safeguarding your DNA. To power it, mitochondria convert food and oxygen into energy. Finally, ribosomes link materials to build proteins for skin and muscles. While this internal factory is complex on its own, its true biological power is unleashed when it begins to replicate. Growth happens through mitosis. A cell copies its DNA, grows slightly larger, and splits directly in half to form two identical pieces. We can track this exponential progression as one cell becomes 2, then 4, 8, and 16. Because every new cell can also divide, this Thibling effect quickly explodes into the millions, and eventually the trillions. This relentless division turns the human body into a continuous biological event, where the matter you are made of is being rewritten in real time. As those cells multiply, they stop being identical copies. They take on highly specialized roles to keep the broader system functioning. This illustration shows how drastically their physical shapes adapt to their work. Red blood cells become flat discs to transport oxygen. White blood cells become flexible hunters to track infections. Nerve cells stretch out into long wires to carry electricity. These departments cannot work in isolation. Timing a heartbeat or digesting a meal requires different groups of cells to coordinate their actions perfectly. They stay in contact using hormones, chemical signals, and high-speed electrical impulses that travel through the nervous system. Every movement you make and every thought you process depends on this synchronized conversation between trillions of microscopic workers. Because the body relies on the cellular math, the entire system begins to fail if specific populations drop below the required levels. A loss of red blood cells causes the weakness of anemia, while a decrease in bone cells leads directly to skeletal fractures. While temporary multiplication heals wounds or builds muscle, unchecked growth is often lethal. When damaged cells ignore their programming and multiply uncontrollably, they form chaotic clusters known as tumors, which lead to cancer. Sustaining a healthy human body requires a strict biological equilibrium, knowing exactly when it needs to grow and exactly when it needs to stop. Maintaining the living system involves a constant cycle of replacement. Parts of your body must intentionally shut down and die every single day. Old or damaged cells undergo apoptosis, a process of programmed self-destruction, where the cell shrinks and breaks apart without harming its neighbors. This happens at a massive scale. The cells lining your skin and your intestinal tract are destroyed and replaced by the billions every few days. Apoptosis acts as a vital cleanup crew, preventing the buildup of damaged tissue and clearing physical space for fresh, efficient cells to take over. Your body functions as a continuous construction site, requiring a constant supply of high-quality raw materials to keep the work moving. This matrix outlines the fuel those factories require: nutrient-dense foods, constant hydration for chemical reactions, oxygen for energy, and sleep for deep maintenance. Toxins like tobacco or excessive alcohol directly damage these internal factories, corrupting the DNA and throwing the division process into chaos. You are essentially the mayor of a 40 trillion worker city. By managing your diet, sleep, and exercise, you are directly dictating the survival and balance of that city every single day.